Sisters and brothers, I begin with a short Sanskrit prayer from the Vedas. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Aviravir Mayeti Rudrayatte Dakshinam Mukham Tenamam Pahi Nityam. May the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the Divine Consciousness fill our hearts and protect us. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. We meet here 125 years after the first Parliament of Religions, which was held in Chicago in 1893. Today, our hearts are animated by the same spirit and the same idealism which animated that first Parliament. The friendship and love that made the first Parliament possible are present in the hearts of everyone in this hall today, and in the hearts of everyone else who are participating in this week-long celebration of the best that religion can offer to the world. Even as we get ready to celebrate, we recognize that this is also the right time to pause and to reflect. We'll notice that the problems that the 1893 Parliament tried to address have not disappeared. Those problems continue to torment us today. Yes, it is true that today we live in a world where there is greater understanding and acceptance. But oddly enough, we also encounter profound fear, insecurity, suspicion, exclusion, and violence. This leads to the demonizing of those whom we see as others. The most heartbreaking recent instance being the devastating massacre in Pittsburgh and Kentucky less than a week ago. It is indeed the time to pause and to pray, and to reflect and to ponder. Our celebration must be tempered by humility and by an earnest call to serious reflection, which is what makes this Parliament, the theme of this Parliament, the promise of inclusion, the power of love, profoundly relevant. It's time to look inside our hearts and to ask ourselves, who do I see as mine? I'll know who I am, not so much by who I include in my life, but by knowing who I exclude from my thinking, my imagination, my concerns. An ancient Sanskrit verse addresses these issues of inclusion and exclusion in this way. Ayam nijaha parova iti ganana laghuchetasam udara charitanantu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. Meaning, this person is mine, that person is an alien. This kind of thinking belongs to small-minded people. But the entire world becomes like a family to those whose hearts have expanded. Today, we need more and more of such expanded hearts, for only then can the promise of inclusion flourish and strengthen our communities. This is the truth regarding inclusion. The smaller my heart gets, the fewer are the people that get included in my circle. When my heart truly expands, I'll find that no one is a stranger. Everyone becomes my own. I find that everyone is in me and I am in everyone. I should love my neighbor not only as myself, but in some strange sort of way, with the recognition that my neighbor is myself. The promise of inclusion will be fulfilled only when no one is excluded. And here I must make a special mention of the marginalized segments of our human family in many parts of the world. The women, the LGBTQ community, the socially ostracized individuals and groups. I dream of the world where everyone is included. There is no need to limit this promise of inclusion only to human beings. We need to include animals and plants as well. We need to include our beautiful planet. Once the spirit of inclusion takes over, there is no stopping. The spirit of inclusion is inseparable from love. We naturally love those who are included in our circles, and our circles are defined by our interests and our identities. Those whom we see as ours, those who belong, get our attention and receive our support. But that is generally where we set our limits. People tend to be either indifferent or positively hostile to those who lie outside of their own circles. Our identities help us form communities and groups, but our identities also separate us from other communities and groups. Our present identities connect us together, but they also disconnect us from many other people. The obvious way forward is to look deeply within our hearts and search for our true identity. Who are we really? What is our true identity? This search is not new. This search is at the heart of every religious, spiritual, and ethical tradition. Generations of people in the past and the present, in every part of the world and in every tradition, have made an attempt to discover their core identity. And they have found the answer. What they discovered is described and explained in many different ways. But they all agree that our true identity connects us with everyone and separates us from no one. Our identity, our true identity, is infinite, pure, perfect, and free. The nature of that identity is love. Love is not an emotion. Love is not a feeling. Emotions and feelings come and go. They have their ups and downs. Love is the divine power, the divine essence, which seeks to remove all separations. When love fills the heart, we won't merely tolerate other people. We'll accept them as they are. Toleration just isn't enough. We need acceptance, total acceptance. We don't have to become loving. Love is our true nature. We already have love. All we need to do is simply eliminate hatred from our hearts. We need to free ourselves of all suspicion, all fear, envy, and jealousy. To the extent we succeed in doing that, we shall find love manifesting naturally through the way we think, through the way we speak, the way we do our work, and through the way we relate to other people. In his opening address at the Parliament of Religions in 1893, Swami Vivekananda said, and I'm quoting his words, "Sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. They have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often and often with human blood, destroyed civilizations, and sent whole nations to despair. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. But their time is come, and I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions with the sword or with the pen, and all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal, unquote. That same prayer, that same hope fills our hearts today as we gather to reflect, to discuss, to share, and to pray. Let me leave you now with this short prayer. May the divine being, who is worshipped in many ways and called by different names, such as the Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, the Great Spirit of the indigenous traditions, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us all from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May we be granted strength, freedom, and clear understanding. May we learn to see God in our own hearts and in everyone around us. May God bless us all and fill our hearts with gratitude, grace, and love. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.